Hey there, you're watching. Reader recap. In the previous chapter, when she screams, "I found it!" she hasn't seen that Erno is standing at her side, glancing at the book as well. He expresses gratitude to her for informing him about the bookcase. Then he adds that, despite the library's size, Irene appeared to know it well. But his gratitude came too quickly and without warning for Irene. She collapsed on the floor, terrified and shocked. And when Erno asks what she was reading, Irene has no response. She is well aware that this is a trick question. Erno would ask her a question if she wasn't bright enough to answer it. Irene believes she will be kicked out regardless tomorrow, but she cannot be caught here. She claims that she reads and writes with a childish grin on her face. This time she speaks like a baby and pronounces reading as leading. She did it with the intention of making Erno less interested in her. Then she informs him that she has no idea what was written in the book, but it was entertaining, and it seems that her ruse was successful, so Erno exits the library. Even if Erno leaves her alone, Irene does not have a minute to rest. Her heart was racing and she was experiencing a strange feeling she was accustomed with. Irene then abruptly drops the book she was clutching. Then we see she has gone in a burst of smoke. Only her clothes remained, and Aaron was nowhere to be found. And it was because of this that her ancestry was called into doubt during the celebration. Irene is similarly certain that the query was legitimate. She wasn't an etom at all. Something is moving within the clothing, which is lying on the floor. Then a little lizard-like hand emerges from the garments. And this was the secret Irene was keeping from the rest of the world. She had the appearance of a dragon. In the original narrative, Irene, unable to control her change, transforms into a dragon during a New Year's Eve celebration. All of the family members are there and experience it personally. And Irene is weeping right now since she nearly got booted out the day before the party. If Erno had seen her transformation, she would not have had the opportunity to read the book. But she can deal with it later. Irene is now curious as to how she can revert to human form. Even before that, she believes it would be preferable to hide behind the bookcases for the time being. She sobs as she considers what might happen if she couldn't transform into a human indefinitely. But then she discovers a ring on the floor, and Irene wonders who misplaced it. She takes it and remarks that it is really dazzling and costly. And whether it was Irene's desire or her dragon instincts, she seemed content to discover the ring. But in the back of her mind, Irene feels this ring seems familiar. And as she concentrates on the hazy recollection, she recalls seeing Erno wear the ring. And Irene is in for yet another surprise. She glances up, horrified, to see Erno step into the room. Erno walks into the room with a solemn look on his face. Then he discovers a heap of garments on the floor. The pile was moving, and it was obvious that someone was within it. Erno glances at it for a time before realizing what's going on. Irene frightened out from within her garments when she realized Erno had spotted her. She begins to crawl away slowly, but Erno catches up with her in only a few steps. He sits down in front of the moving pile of garments and pulls them up to see what's going on, and he grins as he looks into the sheet. He inquires about Irene's game, and she responds with a worried grin. She has returned to her human shape and is even dressed. She chuckles and says she was going to pick up the ring. She is overjoyed that everything has returned to normal since she was about to be apprehended. She quickly concealed beneath her garments as Erno entered the library, and she reverted to human form at the appropriate moment. And she now wants to let the matter play out regularly. Erno inquires whether Irene was referring to her ring, and she confirms. She tells him that it fell beneath the bookcase and that she cleaned it. And seeing how clean his ring was, Erno complimented Irene on how thoroughly she cleaned it. He claims he returned quickly since the ring was essential to him, and he can't believe Irene spent so much time looking for and polishing his ring. He praises her and pats her on the back, and Irene is at a loss for words in response to these accolades. She wants to swiftly return the ring to him and retire to her room. Irene had read in the story that Erno dislikes physical contact, and she does not want to touch him needlessly either. She places the ring into his hand from a safe distance, taking care not to touch him. But when Erno receives his ring, he notices something in it. And whatever he just discovered astounds him. Iren is likewise eyeing him uncomfortably, wondering why he was so astonished. She claims she's leaving now and discreetly exits the library with the book. Erno stands up as she walks away. Then he flashes a threatening grin, which is his true personality. He claims it was enjoyable, and Iren has no idea that the attractive young guy has his own dark secrets. The day has changed, and it is now time for the New Year's Eve celebration. The Etom family mansion's huge dinner hall is tastefully adorned, and Iren is taken aback. She believes that all of the family members were there and that they all looked great and sparkling. But then Iren remembers the actual Iren from the story, who transforms into a dragon in front of all these people. She imagines how terrified she must have been. She is discouraged that this is now going to be her tale. But Iren believes she has nothing to be concerned about. She had remembered the address of the orphanage she was searching for, and she had also gathered emergency finances by roaming about the estate at night. She gathered every coin she discovered that had been misplaced by others. Iren believes that the ideal way would be to avoid becoming a dragon, but even if that is necessary, her intentions are determined. She intends to donate the money she has amassed to an orphanage, and Iren grins confidently as she considers her strategy. The guards then beat their spears on the floor in a rhythmic pattern. It was the start of an announcement that the Etom family's head was on his way. The guard announces that the Empire's protector, the 12th dragon, Duke Morel Etom, is approaching the hall. The Duke then appears, along with his 3 sons, including Erno. The Duke approaches his throne and takes a seat. He was the Etom family's 12th generation leader. Then Duke Morel suggests that they begin the New Year's Eve event. We soon discover that Erno was the Duke's first son, and Celian Etom was his second. Celian has had enough of the celebration, and his younger brother, who is standing next to him, is simply smiling. Iren believes that they were the individuals who were superior to everyone else in the Etom family because they had inherited the dragon's blood more thickly than everyone else. Iren believes that merely by entering the hall, these individuals instilled fear in everyone there. Erno gestures at her while she considers all of this. When Iren understands this, she is horrified and stunned. She is perplexed as to why Erno had to wave at her. It was certain to bring all of the visitors' attention to her. That is precisely what occurs, and Iren gets a nasty feeling about it. But before anything more occurs, she cautiously grins and waves back, and Erno is once again taken aback by something. The Duke's counselor says he will issue the first order right now, and the Duke grants his approval. The first name on the list is Wiln, and the advisor invites him to step forward. Wilna is a researcher, and he has brought his study papers to discuss with the Duke. He welcomes the Duke and informs him that he will begin new research this year. And while this occurs, Iren anticipates what will follow. The new year was a little unusual for the Etom household. Despite the fact that it started properly, with all of the family members assembling and presenting their yearly plan in front of everyone, Wiln is informing the Duke about his plans to explore a new plant found on the eastern continent. But Iren is aware that there will be a twist. The Duke tells Wiln to cease explaining the plant's soothing benefits. He inquires of the researcher if he has read the preceding study material, and Wiln seems to be confused about where the Duke is heading. According to the Duke, the flower has previously been researched, and Wiln was squandering resources by researching it just now. Wiln is stunned, but there's more to shock him now. Wiln is worried now that the Duke knows he wasted his research money on a nice bar. According to the Duke, Wiln harassed ladies at the business and even used his family name as collateral for a loan. Wiln attempts to explain that this was not the case, and the Duke orders him to confess the truth. But he's so terrifying that Wiln can't bear the thought of lying to him. Why, the Duke asks, should he let people who damage his reputation to live? Wiln stammers a lot but says nothing significant. Finally, he admits his errors and kneels before the Duke, pleading for pardon. Irene now recounts that the Duke disclosed everyone's terrible history from the previous year during the Atom family's New Year's celebration. And Irene believes she does not have many things for which she will be chastised. But now that Irene has experienced it for herself, she believes Duke Merle really cares about his family. He is welcoming each of them individually, and Irene is scared that she will have to walk before him. But she believes that since there are so many family members there, she will not have to do it. But it was wishful thinking, and Irene found herself in front of the Duke. As he stares at her, the Duke asks his sons, "Who was this little ball of fluff?" Hernos believes he should address her by name, while the second son believes Irene is too tiny. Morel refers to Irene as Fluffy before correcting himself and calling her by her given name. He inquires about her New Year's intentions, and Irene can only assume that she intended to visit the orphanage. But she is not allowed to say anything in front of the Duke. Irene is so afraid and unsure of herself that she wishes she could transform into a dragon right now. But she is hesitant to inform the Duke of her intentions. She eventually expresses her desire to be allowed to leave the home without being stopped. When Morel hears this, he becomes perplexed, and everyone at the party begins discussing what Irene just said. But when the Duke asks why she wants to leave the home, Irene reveals that she knows the truth about her birth. Even while she reveals the truth cautiously, her conscience begs her to stop. Morel wants to know what Irene means when she says secret, and Irene believes she is doomed as she stammers to reveal the truth. She recalls her previous life, and she was never excellent at making public pronouncements. She's always screwed things up, and Irene is weeping on the inside because she has to do it again. But before she can begin disclosing her secret, the communication is cut off. A guy walks in to inform the Duke of an emergency. The Duke inquires as to what led him to be concerned at the New Year's party. The messenger then tells that the floating stone mine had collapsed, trapping several employees and the manager. The Duke is stunned and inquires whether there have been any casualties. According to the messenger, no one has died yet, but numerous employees have been hurt. Duke Morel is troubled by this news, and he wonders how they can rescue the employees. Then he turns to gaze at Irene, who is anxiously squirming. Morel stands up and announces that the New Year's Eve celebration will be resumed in a few days. Until that point, everyone was expected to remain inside the family. As Morel exits the party, he gestures to many individuals, one of which is Wilm. He instructs them to wipe their brows and follow him silently. They are stunned and attempt to speak out, but Morel pulls his sword and asks if he may assist them with cleaning up. The guys are terrified and promptly execute his orders. Irene is still scared and perplexed by what has just occurred. But suddenly Morel approaches her, and she becomes afraid. Nothing comes out of her lips as she stammers. She is shaking and on the verge of crying. Then Irene yells, pulls out her handkerchief, and starts to sob. After watching Irene weep, everyone is alarmed, but she worries whether they're upset. She shouldn't be sobbing in public like this. She then goes around and asks someone if she may use his handkerchief. The guy is stunned, but Irene is too sweet to refuse when she truly begs if she may use it. The guy looks around and declares that everything was okay, and the members of the party want to offer Irene their handkerchiefs as well. When the guy gives Irene his handkerchief, she tears up for a different reason. As she attempts to pick up the handkerchief, she believes everyone is extremely kind. But then someone swoops in and takes Irene's handkerchief before she can reach for it. Duke Merle was the one who did it, and he asked Irene when he urged her to wipe her tears. He informs her that the next meeting will begin with her and asks her to carefully consider what she wants to say. Irene inquires whether Morel intends to accompany her to the mine. She assumed this since he pointed it out to other people. Morel, on the other hand, insists he's not taking her. Fluffy youngsters like her couldn't even be used as cattle fodder there. Irene is startled and perplexed since she considers herself to be cow food. Where were the other people going then? She wonders about Morel. She also refers to him as Granddad. Morel responds that a youngster like her didn't need to know, but then he cuts himself off in mid-sentence. He instantly recognizes what Irene has just said and requests that she repeat it. Irene is unsure about which phrase to repeat. and when she does, she believes she is doomed. She had accidentally contacted the Duke's grandpa, and she was now in great danger. Irene believes it may have irritated him, and she may have died as a result. But she chooses to grind for the time being because she feels that if she smiles, she will not be despised. She giggles and refers to Merle as Grandpa. When he hears that word, he forgets everything else. And now everyone at the party is passing judgment on Irene. But when Irene calls him grandfather again and doesn't get the emotion she was hoping for, she wonders whether she used the wrong term. The envoy then requests the Duke's attention. Duke Morel turns around and tosses the handkerchief at Irene. He informs her that she would be extensively investigated at the next meeting, and he tells her she must be totally prepared, and he promises to meet her again soon. Irene sighs, wondering when the next time will be. She wonders whether Morel would really murder her. And as he goes away, she can only look behind him. And with that, the meeting came to a close on a tumultuous note. With that, the video comes to an end. What do you think will happen when they meet again? Will Irene be able to speak the truth, or will she have to find another way to rescue herself? To find that out, you guys have to wait for the next part. That's all for today. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you and see you on the next one.